ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Chargers, Raiders, AFC West family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And this is of the AFC West variety. And this was for first place in the division. So this was a pretty big game. And the Chargers came off of a massive road victory last week. Got another road victory tonight. Chargers are now 2-0 in the division. And I'm telling you right now, they haven't seen the last of the Chiefs, okay? But those are the two teams to beat in that division. And I'm not dismissing the Broncos. I'm not dismissing the Raiders. I think every team in that division is good in its own right. I think the Broncos are flawed offensively because I just don't believe in their quarterback position, even though Teddy Bridgewater is really what they need right now. I mean, Drew Lock was awful. And, I was a Drew Lock guy coming out of college. Drew Lock was awful yesterday. The Raiders, to me, they still lack the ability to, they still lack the ability defensively to scare anyone. And I think offensively, while they have all of the pieces necessary to be a problem, I just think they're still inconsistent. For instance, Henry Ruggs was open at least 3 or 4 times tonight deep. He only caught one ball. Now, he got a pass interference, but if Derek Carr puts that ball out there, he threw a moon ball. He literally threw that thing 40 yards in the air instead of throwing it out. So he's gotten, and ask any receiver, they'll tell you, they much rather have that ball be up in the air high so they can run under it than throw it on a line. But Henry Ruggs has that type of speed where you got to let him go and get it, man. I'd much rather have the underthrown ball where you can get the PI than the overthrown ball, which we saw from Derek Carr a couple of times tonight. But that's why you go and get that kind of guy. That's why John Gruden wanted Henry Ruggs, because that's what he wants to do. That's his Joey Galloway, okay? That's the guy that's going to take the top off of the defense. Got to hit that when it's there, and it was there tonight often. Their run game is hit or miss. Josh Jacobs seems like he's always injured. None of their running backs really move the needle. They're solid guys. Love me some Peyton Barber. You can sprinkle in a little bit of Kenyon Drake, but none of these guys are needle movers per se. The offense is really good, but it's predicated on the success of Darren Waller. If he doesn't have a big night, the Raiders generally don't have a big day. And I think Hunter Renfrow might be one of the best, if not the best, slot receiver in football right now. He's a slot machine. But, again, it all starts with Waller. On third downs, you can go to Renfrow if you like. And then when you get opportunities, you can't miss with Ruggs. And they didn't hit it tonight. So the inconsistency of their offense, because like they pointed out tonight, this isn't the first time the Raiders have fallen down big in a game. We watched the Monday night game week 1 against the Ravens. They were this close to getting blown out of that football game. This close. I watched the game last week against the Miami Dolphins. They were this close to getting blown out by the Miami Dolphins led by Jacoby Brissett at home. It was 14-0. This team cannot consistently fall behind 14 or like tonight, 21-0 and expect to just rally back. They're not good enough to do that. They got away with it twice. And the benefit of being home in those games when you fall down by 14 does help. They were home tonight too. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It's got to suck if you're a Chargers fan, knowing that you've got this good of a football team and you still don't have a place to really call home. Now, maybe that was just because you were playing the Raiders. And in LA, there are probably more Raiders fans than any other team in the league. maybe outside of Dallas. I don't know. The Cowboys have a pretty large following in LA. But, and that's Oxnard. I don't know how far away from LA that is, but I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of Cowboys fans in LA too. But of all the teams that have called LA home before, Raiders, Rams, Chargers now, I think the biggest population of fans there are Raiders fans. So maybe that was a Raiders thing, but we've seen this movie before with the Chargers. You too can go into SoFi Stadium and take over and make it a home game, okay? So that sucks because they're really good. And when you have to use a silent count or go into the game thinking, hey, I might have to use a silent count tonight, and you're at home, that's bullshit. But this is what happens when you pick up your organization and move. This is what you walk into. The Chargers are literally the 5th team in town. It probably goes something like Rams. Hell, it's got to be Rams. And we're talking LA in particular. It's the first team is the Dodgers. Number one, it's Lakers, Dodgers, 1A, 1B. You call it whatever you want. Then it's probably the USC Trojans when they're good. Then the Rams. And then it's the Chargers. That sucks. It really, really does. They were good tonight, especially in the first half. I thought in the second half, the Raiders started to make that comeback. They started to feel that pressure, but they didn't clam up all the way. They got tight. But you know who didn't get tight? Their head coach, Brandon Staley. One thing I have to say about him is he's been consistent all season long. He's rolled the dice. He hasn't been scared. If it's 4th and short, he trusts his guy. He's going to go for the gusto. We saw it last week. They could have settled for the field goal, the walk-off field goal. He's like, to hell with that. We'll put the ball in the hands of 10, and I'm going to let him do these boys in, and then I'm going to make my defense, because he's a defensive guy. So in his mind, he's saying, they're not going the length of the field on my defense. Are you crazy? No way. So I don't mind scoring a touchdown here. Giving Patrick Mahomes 30, 40 seconds, whatever he's got left. Knock yourself out. You're not going down the length of the field on my defense. And Brandon Staley can coach up some defense. In case you didn't know. Your ass better call somebody. Number 1 rated defense in the league last year belonged to the Los Angeles Rams. Coached by who? Brandon Staley. So he can coach up some defense. Last week, when they befuddled Patrick Mahomes and forced him into all those mistakes, that wasn't an accident. That wasn't by chance or happenstance. The man knows what the hell he's doing. He's diabolical. So they're going to play defense. The problem with the Chargers right now is the consistency on offense. If they can stay out of their own way, meaning not have a ton of penalties, not have a ton of turnovers, and take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves, they're going to be a hard team to beat. They did that tonight for the most part. No turnovers, no Justin Herbert mishaps, no stupid penalties that negated big plays in the game like against the Cowboys, no bad turnovers like against Washington and Dallas. They took care of the football. They took what the Raiders were giving them. Herbert did a tremendous job, especially in the first half, of shredding that Raiders secondary, manipulating them with his eyes and his helmet. They showed a great clip of him manipulating that Raiders defense, knowing he wants to go backside, staring front side, but his eyes go backside, and then he finds the receiver. This guy's young, he's talented, and he's got everything that you're looking for. They got some good pieces around him. I think they could give him even more. And maybe the Palmer kid they drafted out of Tennessee will step up eventually. Maybe Jalen Guyton will give them some juice. I think they could use a little bit more around him, personally. But they've got some really solid tight ends. I like what they have there with Jared Cook and Donald Parham. I think they have what it takes to win this division. The rivalry now, and I think I said this before, but the rivalry now in the AFC West is between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers, because they've got the two cornerstone quarterbacks, the guys that could be the face of their franchises for the next 15 years and go head to head. I don't know if we've seen that in this league either before or in the last 20 years. I don't want to say before, right? Because then someone will throw out two quarterbacks that were right around the same age in the same division that went against each other for 10 years straight. But I can't recollect a time when we've had rivalries in this league. Hasn't been two young quarterbacks in the same division. It's Brett Favre against Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys. They're not in the same division. It's Brett Favre or it's Steve Young versus the Cowboys of the 90s. It was always somebody against the Cowboys of the 90s. So it was either Green Bay against Dallas or San Francisco against Dallas. You knew you had to go through Dallas or you had to go through San Francisco. Green Bay was the young upstart coming up in the game trying to make their way. Then it was Brady versus Manning. There was a stretch there where it was Brady versus Manning. The Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots. They're not in the same division, though. The closest thing we had to a division rivalry with young quarterbacks was Colin Kaepernick when he was in San Francisco and Russell Wilson in Seattle. But that was short-lived because Colin Kaepernick wasn't on the level of a Russell Wilson. So that didn't last very long. It was fun while it lasted, but it didn't last very long. So I don't know if we've ever had two quarterbacks this good, this quick, this young in the same division that are going to square off 2 times a year for the next 10 to 15 years in the same division. But that's what's brewing in the AFC West. Man, I got my popcorn ready because we're going to get a lot of those games on primetime television. Once the league catches up to what's going on, once they figure this out, like, hey, this is a pretty damn good rivalry. We're going to get that shit every single year. It'll be on Thanksgiving night. It'll be on Monday Night Football. It'll be on Sunday. More likely than not, it'll be on Sunday night. That's where they put the premier matchups. So we'll get that on Sunday night just about every single year, if not on Thanksgiving night or somewhere where it's a primetime big spot for the NFL where they want one of their best matchups. You're going to start to see Chargers and Chiefs be that game. That's how good Justin Herbert is, and we already know what Patrick Mahomes is. And that first half is just a little microcosm, just a little taste of what this guy can be when he's on. That throw to Austin Eckler, get out of my face, man. Get out of my face. That throw was stupid, dumb. There were other good throws in that first half, but that throw with a guy right there, that felt Aaron Rodgers-esque. Remember that throw Rodgers made on, what was it? Was it Sunday Night Football against the 49ers? Was it Sunday night or was it against the Lions on Monday night? I think it might have been the Lions on Monday night. It was the Lions. That's right, because Peyton Manning was like, come on, man, stop. Kind of, what in the hell am I watching right now? That was that kind of throw. That thread the needle, that had to be in the perfect spot, and it was. He's really good. He missed some throws. Oh, without a doubt, he missed some throws tonight. You get some opportunities deep. You can't miss those. He missed, just like Derek Carr did. There was some miscommunications with him and some of his receivers. They tried a flea flicker. He chucked it deep. His guy cut it off. Keenan Allen came back. There were some miscommunications, some missed opportunities. But for the most part, he was, when they needed him, 4th down, crucial 3rd downs late in the game, he came up clutch. put them in a position to put this game away, and they did. Austin Eckler was outstanding. I remember when I used to disrespect Austin Eckler. No respect for that man. Austin Eckler is the man. He's a jack of all trades. He does it all. And he was phenomenal tonight. I think he went over 100 yards rushing, had impact as a receiver as well. Obviously had the touchdown in the first half to give them the 21-0 lead. He was exceptional. Real quiet night from the receivers, though. Honestly, it was really about the tight ends. Parham and Jared Cook did most of the damage, the heavy lifting for the Chargers. The special teams, they tried to get cute with the fake. Great job by Hunter Renfrow to break that up. But all in all, this Chargers team, they have an identity. It starts with their coach, Brandon Staley. They're going to play defense. They're going to be aggressive. He comes from that Sean McVay tree. And so you're kind of seeing that. We're going to go for it on fourth down. If it's 4th and 3, we're right around midfield. We're not scared. I got 10 back there. And that's the kind of confidence you can put in your quarterback when you feel like I got one of those guys. There aren't many teams in the league where you're like, hey, I got one of those dudes. Everybody can't do what the Chiefs or the Chargers or the Bills, you know what I'm saying, or the Seahawks or the Packers or the Bucks. Everybody can't do what those teams do because you don't have one of those guys. So everybody can't do what those teams do. They got one of those guys. They got one of those dudes. And when you got a dude at quarterback, you got a chance every single week. And that's what this Chargers team has. Now they just got to play smart football. They got to play clean football. And most importantly, they got to learn how to win close games. That's why last week was so important, because in the past, they lose that game. That's why week 1 was important, because in the past, they lose that game. But they're winning those games this year. They lost to Cowboys. They could be 4-0 right now. Probably should be 4-0. You could argue they could have lost to Washington in week 1. But they didn't. Right now, they're 3-1. That's probably what they should be, honestly speaking. Honestly speaking. Probably should be 3-1. And now they're atop the AFC West division, tied with these same Raiders and Broncos now. And I'll tell you what. When it's all said and done, it'll come down to these Chargers, if they stay healthy, and the team that's in last place right now, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not going away. Trust me. The Broncos, I think they've got enough defense to give them a shot, but if they don't get enough out of their offense, just like the Raiders, they'll fade to black. Pun intended. They'll fade to black. But the Chargers, I don't think they're going away. And the Chiefs, I don't think they're going away. As for the Raiders, it's just one loss. It's the first loss of the season. But I mentioned this at the top of the show. It's a very disturbing trend with them. Can't keep falling down, 10 and 14 early in ball games and just expect, we'll wake up and snap out of it and come back and rally. It doesn't work like that in this league. You heard the stat that they gave out. Teams that are down 14 or more points in any given game this season are 2-34. Now they're 2-35. The Raiders were 2-0 in that situation. Now they're 2-1. The odds is just like playing, in Vegas. It's just like gambling in Vegas, going against the book. You may start out hot, but eventually Vegas is going to catch up to your ass, even the score, and then eventually pass you. So you got to get out while you can. Get out while you're up, because eventually they're coming back to collect. If you're not smart enough to get out when the getting's good. Eventually, if the Raiders continue this trend, they're going to lose many more games than they win. That's how it goes in this league. You can't afford to fall behind and think you're going to rally back and win. And they did that in this game. And we've seen it before. They did it last week against the Dolphins. They did it in week 1 against the Ravens. The only game that they came out and had a lead in and was really, good in that game for much of it, or at least in it, was against the Steelers. And we all know the Steelers offensively are one of the worst teams in football. I worry about this Raiders. I've been impressed with their defense. Coming from where they came from last year, don't tell me that a coordinator doesn't make all the world difference either. The Raiders defense isn't all that different. They didn't change up their parts all that much. They added a couple of guys. Trayvon Myrick is there as a rookie. Obviously, they brought in the linebacker from the Seahawks late in the offseason, late in the preseason, I should say, right at the end of the preseason, right before the start of the regular season. But this is really the same cast of characters from last year. You bring in Gus Bradley, and it's a night and day difference defensively. Same thing with the Dallas Cowboys. You bring in Dan Quinn. It's the same guys for the most part. It's, one or two, maybe three different guys. Yeah, they drafted a whole bunch of defensive players. It's pretty much the same guys. Same guys. Just somebody else calling the shots. So the Raiders I've actually been impressed with defensively, because in my mind, I said, if I could get this kind of defensive performance from them, not specifically tonight because they weren't good in the first half. They were a lot better in the second half, obviously. But if I can get them to just hold teams to a regular game, I think they said the Raiders coming into this game were like 15th in the league. I wasn't even asking for that. I was like, hey, just be like 18th, 19th in the league. With the way you can score, you should win 10, 11 games. But the scoring has to be consistent. And I haven't seen the kind of scoring that I saw last year this year. Last year, you were putting up 40. It was nothing. Right? You put up 40 in a game against the Chiefs in a shootout in Kansas City last year. I don't know if you're doing that this year or not. And I feel like you got the guys to be able to do it. But for whatever reason, I just feel like the Raiders are inconsistent on offense. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, they're not. And you're never supposed to not be hot. Like the Chiefs are always hot on offense. Yeah, they may have some games where the defense they're playing against is tough and they turn it over, but they're going to make it tough on you. They're going to make it tough on you because they got Tyreek Hill and they got Travis Kelce. Everything else kind of fills in. And right now, why the Chiefs are struggling is because they don't have that other guy. They need that other guy. I said Mecole Hardman had to step up and be that guy, and he hasn't been. We know what Demarcus Robinson is. We know what Pringle is. Those guys are cool, but they're not needle movers. That's why they signed Josh Gordon, because they need him to fill the Sammy Watkins role. If he comes in and can give them what Samuel Watkins gave the Chiefs for the last 3 years, the Chiefs are going to be back to being the Chiefs. Now, defensively, they have some issues, but we all know they can overcome those issues because they can score the football. So it's hard to win in this league, though, when your defense is terrible. Like anything meaningful, it's hard to win. You can win ball games with a terrible defense, but when the playoffs come around, just like in the NBA, when shit slows down and possessions are meaningful, if you're a team that turns it over and you're loosey-goosey with the rock and you don't have any kind of structured offense, and you think you're just going to run up and down like it's the regular season and score 140, wrong place, wrong time. Game slows down. Every possession matters. Now these games, some games don't even make it to 90. Every game doesn't make it to 100. You got to figure out how to get buckets in the half court. It's a different game. Same thing with the postseason in the NFL. Shit slows down. It gets real. I'm game planning for you specifically. It's not a series. I just got to beat you once. If your defense stinks, someone's going to catch up and bite you in the ass. Someone's going to catch up to you, and you're not going to be able to outscore them in the postseason. All it takes is one. That's it. So the Chargers have everything they need. The Raiders aren't there yet, but they're going to be interesting in this division. They're not going to just go away. But this game here is concerning because I don't know if you can beat the Chargers. I don't know if you can beat the Chiefs still as the Raiders. Still think you're the third team in this division. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Got a super chat here from Storm to kick us off tonight. Thank you for the super chat, Storm. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Storm writes, it's not the L that concerns me. Gruden's teams in the past 2 years have collapsed after blowout L's consistently. Gruden is averaging 5 blowout L's a year. Listening to them, he doesn't get into these positions very often. They said that 21-point deficit was the biggest. It ties the biggest he's had in his career. But it seems like y'all get y'all asses handed to y'all at least 3 or 4 times a year. I agree. Like, you were in that Tampa Bay game last year. Then the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes came, and it went from like 20 to 24 to like 45 or whatever it was. Like 28 to 24 or whatever the score was. 27. I think it was 27 and 24 to like 45 to 24. Like that. Seems like there are 2 or 3 ass whoopings waiting for you guys every year. I remember the Falcons one last year. Whoa, that one came out of nowhere. I mean, that was brutal as it gets. And so I still feel like those ass whoopings are coming. And that's why I can't sign off on the Raiders yet. Because I just don't know when that ass whooping is waiting around the corner. You just never know with this team. Like, they weren't, like, this could have been one of those nights. If the Chargers kept their foot on the gas pedal in the second half, this could have been one of those nights. This could have easily been 42-10. But those boys didn't know what to do with a 21-0 lead. They was like, wait a minute, we up 21-0? Wait a minute. Us? Chargers? We're up 21-0? They didn't know what the hell to do with that. So you had to make it a game for those boys to wake the hell back up because they're used to being in tight ball games. They don't know what to do with blowouts. We'll see what happens, Storm. We'll see what happens. Storm. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Storm. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Storm. Writes. Also, this was one of Gruden's worst games as an OC. His play calling consistently was bad. We had 0 creativity on big downs today. That scares me. Even with that said, first of all, Gruden isn't the most creative guy. We know he's a throwback play caller. Okay? He's still employing the fullback. And there's some teams, like the one you played tonight, that have no problems throwing a guy back there and using him. And they got Anderson the ball as a fullback out of the backfield. And the reason he came open is because so many teams don't use fullbacks anymore. When you see it and somebody throws one at you and they go play action fake, you just like fall asleep behind the wheel because you don't see it every week. There are not a lot of teams that use the fullback. That said, Gruden is one of those guys, throwback coaches that wants to run the football and go play action fake off of it. I think part of the reason his shit works is because it's so damn plain. Everybody's used to these spread offenses, where they spread you out and it's 4 guys out wide and a tight end and you're empty set and they're going RPOs and they're reading the linebackers. And there's so many nuances to the game now, and especially the passing game. And Gruden's this throwback, bludgeon you to death with the run game. And just when you fall asleep, just when you thought it was safe, here comes Henry Ruggs running across the field deep. Or he'll go 3 by 1 and he'll go, 4 verts or 3 verts. And on the backside of that thing, he's got something, a deep dig, or he's got a deep curl to attract that corner up so that deep over route with Henry Ruggs, like we saw tonight, comes available. God forbid you play cover 3 and he catches your linebacker trailing on that. Good night. God bless and good night. But he dialed it up tonight a couple of times, and Henry Ruggs got behind the defense. I don't know what more you want from Gruden, man. Nah, it wasn't creative, but it worked. Henry Ruggs was open. He was 1 of 3 with Derek Carr with Henry Ruggs open. You can count it 2 of 3 if you like, because you got the PI, but I want the touchdown. And I think you ultimately scored a touchdown on that drive anyway. So it's not a big deal. But if he's there, you got to hit him. So there were opportunities in this game for sure. Storm again. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Storm writes, end of the day, though, I've seen way more of my fair share of Raider blowouts on primetime. Games like tonight make me worry about Gruden 2.0 era. So you're one for one on or one and one, I should say, not 1-for-1. 1-1 on primetime this year. You had the Monday night comeback at home against the Ravens, and then you got, and that was like I said, it was this close to being an ass whooping. You were literally one more Ravens possession, and I forgot what play changed that entire game, but you were one play away from being blown out in that game, and then you rallied back and ultimately tied it up, sending it to overtime and won. Tonight, you literally were the first possession. If the Chargers would have gotten a football coming out of halftime instead of you getting it out of halftime, this might have gotten ugly because they had all the momentum. They had just scored another touchdown with Austin Eckler to go into the halftime break up 21-0. And had they gotten it again, I don't know if you stopped them. But because you got it first and you were able to drive it down the field, get that touchdown, then the crowd really got into it. Then it felt like a true road game for the Chargers. They started to feel the pressure. They give it back to you. You score again. And all of a sudden, just like that, it's 21-14 and you're back in the game and the crowd is in it. So the Chargers literally had to silence their own home crowd, which wasn't their crowd. But it's not the blowouts that, concern me by themselves. Like, it's not a standalone situation. I'm concerned about more than just that. But the fact that you can get blown out tells me that there is a flaw there. There is a lack of consistency. That's what scares me more than anything else, is the lack of consistency. I like teams that I know what I'm getting from them week in and week out. Even if I know, hey, they don't have a lick of defense, but I know the offense is going to show up and score 30 plus. You're going to have to outscore those boys like the Chiefs this year. That's probably going to be, unless they clean up some shit, that's going to be their MO, is they're going to find it tough to beat teams 28-24. They're going to find it tough because their defense isn't capable of holding down a team to less than 24 points, less than 27. It's going to be tough. They're going to give up 30 most weeks, are the Chiefs defensively. But I know that if they're healthy, they're going to score 30 or damn near 30. And that's going to give them a chance every week. So you're not going to blow them out because all of a sudden their defense stinks and they can't score. They're going to show up and score every week. Will it be enough is the question. But I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting from the Baltimore Ravens every single week. If Lamar Jackson is healthy, I know what I'm getting from the Ravens. There won't be many weeks where the Ravens get their doors blown off because I know what I'm getting. You're getting tough defense, and you're getting a run game that won't quit, and Lamar Jackson making timely throws. That's what you're going to get. I know what I can count on. I know what it is, and there's a comfort in knowing that. I don't know what I'm getting with the Raiders week in, week out. I don't. And that's the problem. Got another super chat, and this was from Storm. Again, thank you for the super chat, Storm. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, the difference on O this year is the new O-line. They purposefully got worse and shipped off guys to get cheaper last offseason. Leatherwood is trash too. Obviously, they couldn't afford that offensive line anymore. That was the problem. They had too much invested in the offensive line. They shipped Hudson off to the Cardinals. I think the only guy you kept on that line was Incognito. Pretty much everybody else was shipped out. And, Trent Brown, you traded him back to New England. It had to be done. It had to be done. It wasn't ideal. Gabe Jackson, I think you shipped him off to Seattle. It is what it is. The bottom line is the offense is inconsistent. it may stem from the offensive line not being as good as it was last year. I can't say if Alex Leatherwood is trash. I'll take your word for it. I didn't think he was a first-round pick. But then again, I don't feel like a lot of the guys that you guys select, and I don't know if this is a Mike Mayock thing or if it's a John Gruden thing or it's a combination of the two, but I don't agree with a lot of your first-round picks. It's the guys you get after that are actually pretty decent, but I don't agree with a lot of your first-round picks. So this isn't the first, and it probably won't be the last first-round pick that everyone's scratching their head about with this Raiders football team. So maybe the offensive line and their inability to protect for as long is the sole reason why this offense is a little bit more inconsistent than it was a season ago. I don't know, but we'll see. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, is it about that time to move on from Brandon Sheriff? No. I mean, I wouldn't have given him the second franchise tag. You guys know that. I've said that many a times. I wouldn't have done a second franchise tag, but they believe he's a part of the solution, not part of the problem in Washington. They want him in Washington because they think he's one of the core guys on the football team. I don't dispute that, but I just don't think you do that for a guard. Like, don't tell me we couldn't have gotten by with Eric Flowers at left guard and Wes Schweitzer at right guard this year, with $18 million still left in our pockets to spend elsewhere. But we weren't hurting for the bread. That $18 million will come off the books next year. And so we weren't hurting for the bread this year. We signed every guy that we wanted to re-sign. We did that already. You know, Logan Thomas, Jonathan Allen, you know, Chase Rouillet. We re-signed all the guys that needed to be re-signed. So we weren't hurting for the bread, so it doesn't matter. But next year, they're going to need that $18 million. They're going to have it back. I think they're going to move on from Landon Collins, and then they'll be able to start, you know, getting long-term deals done with guys like Terry and Cole Holcomb and other guys that they feel like are foundation pieces for the organization. But is it time? You say it as if we can trade him or we could cut him. Like, you're not moving on from Brandon Sheriff in season. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's trading for a guard in season. Unless they think they're a Super Bowl team and their guard goes down. Nobody's renting a guard from you. He's not under contract next year. So moving on from him, I think that's a term you could throw around loosely, but I wouldn't do a long-term deal with him, especially if he's asking for the kind of money that I think he'll be asking for. He'll have to get that somewhere else. Just don't think you invest that kind of money unless you've got Quentin Nelson or a Zach Martin type, and I'm not saying Sheriff isn't that, but I don't think he's as dominant as a Quentin Nelson or a Zach Martin. I think he's really good. I don't think he's as dominant as those two guys, though. And he's not as durable, even though Nelson has been banged up this year and Zach Martin has had his fair share of injuries. He's been a lot more durable than Brandon Sheriff. So anyway, I digress. Storm, stand up. You are now officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB. Welcome aboard, Storm. Mob, you know what to do. Show Storm some love. Show him around the facilities. He's a Raiders fan, but he still got love for the kids. So show him around. Show him the ropes a little bit. And welcome him to the squad. Storm, welcome to the MOBB. Glad to have you. All right. Let's get to the hashtags. If you're out there, you want your comment read, you know the rules of the game. If you don't, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. You want to jump straight to the front of the line. The best way to do that is via Super Chats. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button. Over 120 of you, only 46 likes. Over 130 of you now, only 46 likes currently. You know I like that 2-to-1 ratio if I can get it. So let's get those likes up if at all possible. Let's get to 50 first. Then we want to get to 60. You know the magic number for me on these live streams, 75. And then I try to get to 100. So let's try to hit that. I really do appreciate you guys. Thanking you in advance. Juan Gotti talking sports. Lou, watching this Chargers game makes that week 1 loss sting even more because had those bastards, but they are really good. Big win over the Chiefs. Now this on primetime. Wow. I said this when we were getting, I said, I want them in week 1 because they're only going to get better. Get them while they're young and dumb, because when they figure it out, they got a brand new head coach. They didn't play their players in the preseason. Let's get them in week 1 while they're still trying to figure some shit out. And we had them. We had them right where we wanted them. We forced 2 turnovers of Justin Herbert. We held them to 13 points. And then Gibby had that fumble. And that changed everything. We had them right where we wanted them. And we let them off the hook. If you want to crown their ass, then crown them. But we let them off the hook. Niners fan. Thank you for this. Or Niners fan writes, Chargers have a bunch of winnable games on the schedule and are probably winning 10 games at least and going to the playoffs. Well, let's check their schedule out. I don't doubt that. They play in a tough division, though. They're home for the Browns, at the Ravens, home for the Patriots, at the Eagles. First of all, they play the NFC East. So that in itself means they got winnable games. That means they still got the Giants and they still got the Eagles. Those should be 2 wins for them right there. Home for the Vikings, home for the Steelers, at the Broncos, at the Bengals, home for the Giants, home for the Chiefs, at the Texans, home for the Broncos, at the Raiders. There's some winnable games up there. There's some losable games up there too. Like, they're not good enough at this point. Like, they're not a made team yet. So you can't just count certain games and say, oh, they go. Like, next week they could lose against the Browns next week. The Browns are really good defensively and they can run the football. I think you can run the football against this Chargers defense because I think they're light. They're a small team up front. Not on the defensive line, but at that next level and the level after that, they're a small team. Fast as shit. You won't find many defenses that are faster than these guys. But I think you can run the football on them. We ran it down their throats in week 1. I mean, we were having our way on the ground against them. I think you can run the ball against. The Cowboys ran for 200 yards on the Chargers, okay? Tony Pollard had like 13 carries for 107 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had like 16 carries for 90-something yards. They almost had 200-yard rushers. You can run on the Chargers. The Browns will run it next week on them. So what I'm telling you is, don't just start counting dubs. They're not a made team yet. They still got weaknesses, and they still haven't quite figured out how to win yet. I got to see it consistently to say, okay, they got it. These close games, they figured it out. So we'll see. But it's a lot of winnable games. I agree with you. It's a lot of games that they could also lose. They could go either way. Like, you show up tripping against the Giants, and I just told you they have trouble stopping the run, and they run into one of those games where Saquon, because he's starting to get that mojo back now, and they run into Saquon, and he busts them up for 186 on the ground. It can happen. You can lose to the Giants. Ask the Saints. The Giants play defense. They got some winnable games, though, I agree, but it's all in how they handle them. They got to take care of business. Niners fan says, I really hope Derwin James and Bosa can stay healthy, even though I have no faith in their durability, because that Chargers defense could be scary. They just, for whatever reason, can't stay healthy. They already got K9, their linebacker, Kenneth, what's his face from Oklahoma? Kenneth Murray. He's already hurt. I don't think it's anything serious, but he's on IR, short-term IR. So they just, for whatever reason, but they got so much speed. Drew Tranquil, next man up. Hey, come on. They got so much speed at the linebacker position. It's not even funny. But if, like you said, if they could just stay healthy, they got some dogs, man. They got some dogs on the. You know who else is nasty? Nasir Adderley. That dude can play some ball. All right. Yeah, he got mossed on tonight. Look, a lot of guys are going to fall victim and prey to Darren Waller, okay? Because Darren Waller's 6'6". And Nasir Adderley might be 6 feet. Might be 6 feet. Maybe 6'1". On his tippy toes. But Nasir Adderley, he's a baller too. They got some studs, man. They got some boys that can play some ball back there. That's for damn sure. Got a super chat here from Brandon Hayes. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Brandon Hayes writes, I love/hate watching other teams as a Washington football team fan. A lot of times, wishful thinking sometimes. That, I think it is a necessity. Like, not enough fans watch other teams' games. And that's why when they look at the team, they don't have an open mind and they don't know what certain things are supposed to look like. So that's why they overrate what we have, because they don't know what everybody else has. I really think you do yourself a disservice as a fan of any team, not just Washington football team, but any team, when you don't watch other teams so you can see what it is or what it isn't supposed to look like. So you have a greater understanding and either a greater appreciation for what you do have or a lesser appreciation for what you don't have. And I think a lot of fans, they get stuck in that bubble where they watch the team and they only watch the team and they have no idea what it's really supposed to look like. Or they have no real appreciation for what we have. It's a lot of bad offensive lines out there. Ours is actually really good. And unless you watch around the league and see, you don't really get that sense. Then you watch teams that can get pressure on the quarterback and you're like, why aren't we doing that? We got the talent to do that. Why can't we do that? Or you see, like, where I get jealous of two things. Just two things. Because our roster isn't bad. So it's not like how it used to be where I'm watching it every game I'm watching. I'm saying, damn, I wish we had that. I wish we had that. I wish we had that. It's just two things. Elite linebackers. Like, I'm watching Shaq Thompson against the Cowboys yesterday. I'm watching Shaq Thompson all season long, and I'm like, shit, I wish we had one of those. And maybe Jamin Davis will turn into that one day. But I was like, man, I wish we had one of those. And then I'm watching Nasir Adderley. I'm watching safeties around the league, and I'm saying, I just want one of them. I just want one of these free safety dudes that you could just move around, drop over the slot, tell them to run 40 yards down the field, can run across the field on an over route and break on it and knock it away. I want one of them guys. Can I get one of them? Is that too much to ask? I watched Trayvon Moehrig make a play, and I'm like, I don't know what he's doing, but I would sure like to find out. Can I get one of those? Those are the only two things I watch other teams and I say, damn, I wish we had one of those. When I watched the 49ers, I was like, shit, I wish we had a Fred Warner. I watched the Indianapolis Colts like, damn, I could use a maniac on our team. That's what the game's missing. That's it. That's it for me right now. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. All members of the mob, stand up. We officially in the building. You know what it is. My guy Fat American writes, yo, Lou, what's good? What's good, Fat American? Just 2005, got off of work. Got him. You're a jerk. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Dejan, who writes, Ron, better not be lazy. Go get us a linebacker. I don't think that's something they're really going to do. I mean, we may have to, go around the division or the league and scrounge the bottom of the barrel to see what's out there, but you're really not going to be able to upgrade until after the season is done, whether it be free agency, but I more so want a young guy, and I think that's the direction they're heading in, is a young guy in the draft. Gregory Lightbody says, it's a shame looking at all these D-lines get to the QB, but somehow Washington can't do it. That can become frustrating watching some of these games too, I mean, but it is what it is, yeah, it is frustrating. I'm not gonna lie to you. Condoleezza Perry, my girl Condo P, writes, Donald Parham Jr. had a touchdown for the Chargers. Wasn't he supposed to be an end zone target for us under Jay? He had a shot. We got all excited in the preseason. We had this 6'8" dude that was huge that you could just throw it up to, and he didn't make the squad. They cut him. He moved on. And, it's guys like that I look at and say, we didn't have enough talent on the team to be cutting a Donald Parham Jr. He's 6'8". Let's start there. How many 6'8" tight ends are walking around the league right now? And he can catch. Why not? We didn't have enough talent to be keeping this guy away from the roster when he was here in Washington. But they decided to go in a different direction. So, hey, Monique. My guy, Craig Smith. What up, Craig? Says, Jay Herbert managed 3 touchdown tosses with next to no wide receiver production. Kid just has it. Hashtag boat gang or don't bang. Absolutely. And I said that. I said they really got nothing out of their receivers tonight. It was really the tight ends and the running backs that really carried the day for them in this football game. It was a lot of Jared Cook Jr. It was a lot of Donald Parham. He even hit Steven Anderson out of the backfield as a fullback, who's another tight end for them. And then we know what Austin Eckler did. Just looking at the numbers, I mean, you could feel it watching the game. They kept talking about, got to get Mike Williams involved. He never really got going in this game. I'd venture to say between Williams and Allen, those are your 2 big threats. Allen had a bunch of nickel and dime catches, nothing big. I say between the 2 of them, 8 grabs, 75 yards max. Let's see what we got. See if we can find it. See. 8 catches. Yikes, 47 yards. Those are your 2 best receivers. They combined for 8 catches for 47 yards. Meanwhile, Cook had 6, Anderson had 1, Parham had 2, Eckler had 3, Jackson, another running back, had 4. So, I mean, it was really the backs and the tight ends in this game. And like he said, that's when you know your boy is stroking it, when your receivers aren't really a part of the damage being done. You're doing it with other dudes. Captain Spartan writes, I'm seriously confused. How do this thing called running the football? This must be a new phenomenon. I haven't seen my Steelers do it yet this season. You don't have the offensive line to do it. I think you're still lacking confidence from last year's inability to run the football. And that's part of the reason you revamped the offensive line. And I don't think that they consistently feel like your guys can move the opposition off the ball and create the space necessary to run it. A lot, too, of your offense is based off of gun runs. And Najee Harris, to me, is a lineup I formation. Like, I would treat Najee Harris like the Titans treat Derrick Henry. Like, he's one of those dudes. You build a beast bully offensive line and you turn around and you hand Najee Harris the ball 23 times. The Titans are getting OC with it. I don't know if you noticed what they did the last 3 games, hell. In the overtime win against the Seahawks, I think the man had 35 carries. Let's look it up. I don't want to guess. I know he had 33 this past week against the Jets in a loss. The week before that against the Colts, I think he had like 29 or 30. And I know the week before that in the overtime win against the Seahawks, the brother had over 30. Like, they like the hell with it. We know what we are. We know what our bread is, where our bread is buttered. We know where we're going with the rock. We're not even going to play around. Let's take a look-see at what Derrick Henry has done over the last 3 weeks. So back to the Titans game. Henry, 35 carries. Colts game, Henry, 28 carries. Jets game this past week, 33 carries. Okay. That's what I would do with Najee Harris. Like, you can't do that anymore in this league unless you have one of these types of teams. The Browns do it too. They just split it up with 2 backs. That's the only difference. The Titans say we got 1 stud, and the Browns say we got 2. So they split it up. But they're running it 30 plus times too. It's 16 for Chubb, and then it's 15 for Hunt, or it's 20 for Chubb, and it's 12 for Hunt. But they're getting their 30 carries in there. Matter of fact, let's see what they did against the Vikings. That game was 14-7. Let's see what they did in that game. Damn, if I can find it. Well, it seemed like that game running from me. Because I ain't in the right week. That's why, dumb. All right, here we go. 14-7. Chubb, 21 carries for 100 yards. Let's see what his running mate did. Hunt, 14 carries, 69. That's 35 carries right there. So that's what the Browns are doing just about every week. If you got one of them type of offensive lines, which the Browns have built their offensive line, and the Titans have, the Titans have a makeshift offensive line. It's not like the Browns where they've invested in it, whether it be free agent dollars or first round draft picks. The Titans offensive line is kind of makeshift, but they still getting it done. You guys don't have that, and you don't have that mentality. You don't have a lineup and let's put somebody's dick in the dirt type of mentality. And you got to have that. Either you do or you don't. And most teams in the league, they're not built like that. So anyway, I digress. Craig Smith, my guy Craig writes, Raiders have moved all over Cali. They have fans all throughout the state. Wins will change that. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe if you, a wise man once told me, if you win, they will come. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, you're going to be treated like a redheaded stepchild. It's going to take a lot of winning for you to overtake the different things that you have working against you again. One, it's California. Two, it's LA, to be more specific. It's always something to do outside. And then three, there's the Lakers. Their season is about to start here in a month. Dodgers about to play some postseason baseball. I'd much rather go to a Dodgers game than go to a Chargers game. You get where I'm, and that might be the same fan base. Chargers fan, Dodgers fan, going to the Dodgers postseason game. All right, so they're overlapping. Like Lakers are about to start playing some ball. If USC is ever good, they don't play on the same day, obviously, Saturday, Sunday, so that's not a big issue. But like I said, you're probably fifth in town behind those three. And you might be able to throw the Clippers in there too, even though I feel like they're a redheaded stepchild as well. And then, of course, you're behind the Rams as well. So we'll see. Winning does help. It definitely doesn't hurt. That's for sure. Got a super chat here from Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Fat American. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, I can't give Masco enough credit, man. I was one of the guys really being critical of our O-line in 2019. He has definitely put a good product out there both years. And we played musical chairs last year with all the injuries, and we didn't miss a beat on the offensive line. And did it again this year. They did it again. And you got to give credit to Travell Wharton, too, who's the assistant offensive line coach. He's putting in work with Masco as well with these guys, and it's really turning out well. So, yeah, it's been a really good situation with the offensive line. That is for sure. Let's see. Where do we leave off? Jonathan Hankey says, I still call them San Diego Chargers, LOL. I don't find myself doing that anymore. If you're old school, then you have those issues. Like Peyton Manning, he keeps calling the Raiders Oakland, and he keeps calling the Chargers San Diego. Like when you're old, you do that. I've gotten over that a while. That's a year one thing. What are we in? Year 3 of them being out of San Diego now? Like, yeah, I don't call them that anymore. But yeah, I mean, I can see how you do that if you've been calling them San Diego since the 70s, Craig Smith says, I don't care nothing about great traveling teams fans right now. We cooking regardless. You say that, but it ain't nothing like having a home field advantage. It ain't nothing like having Look, when you're cooking, you're cooking. You're right about that. Because you went to Arrowhead, and that's one of the toughest places to play in the league, and you went and won. But that's family business. You used to going to Arrowhead and knowing what that environment is like and having to overcome that. To me, personally, it ain't nothing like having a home field advantage. You know, you could try to dismiss it because you don't have it. And whatever you got to tell yourself to make you feel better, Craig, I'm all for it. But don't nobody want to be playing a road game at home. Nobody wants to do that. That shit sucks. You probably are used to it because whether you were in San Diego or you were at the soccer field a couple of years ago or you're here now, you've been playing road games at home for years. So you probably used to it by now. But the fact of the matter is, when you're at home, you want to feel like you're at home. You don't want to be having to put into the offense that week silent counts because the other team may be able to come in and take your stadium over. That's bullshit. But I understand that. You got to be able to get it done wherever you at, whether that's home in a road environment or on the road in a true road environment. You got to be able to get it done either way. But nobody want to play road games at home. Don't nobody want to do that. Craig Smith says, Bass set Brandon. Staley. That's what I call him. LOL. Brass set Brandon. He definitely has a set on him because that brother don't care what down. You don't care what point of the field they're on. He said, I got 10, man. I believe in 10. So if I'm going down swinging with 10. I'm not mad at him for that. Like I said, when you got one of those dudes, when you got a Herbert, a Allen, a Russell Wilson, an Aaron Rodgers, a Mahomes, a Brady, you can do that. I don't even know if I want to put Brady in that conversation anymore, but he's still Brady. And until he's not Brady, I'm going to have to put him in that conversation. But unless you got one of those dudes, Watson, when he comes back, you don't want to do that. That ain't for you. That ain't for everybody. But when you got one of them, you can. And trust me, Brandon Staley wouldn't be doing that with Jared Goff at quarterback, okay? Trust me. He'd be putting the football a little bit more often. But when you got a guy like Justin Herbert, you're like, nah, we got this. Let's see. Craig Smith says, Staley doing this defense with a below average interior defensive line. Wait till he build this thing out with all the cap space we got next year. I've already said that your run defense is shoddy. I think it starts with the D-line, it not being great, but you got to make do with what you got. You know, you got Covington. You got to do what you got to do with Covington. You know what I mean? Like guys like that, it is what it is. You got an old ass Linval Joseph. I always said though, I like my beef well done. You know what I mean? I don't mind the old rusty, crusty veteran on the D-line. Those dudes usually know all the tricks of the trade. But at the end of the day, I think you get hurt because you're light. After that defensive line, you light. And I think you can run on this team because you're so light at the second level. If I come off of that double team, that initial double team, and I get to that second level, you got some speed. And if they can beat that guy, to the spot, cool. But if that guard comes off that double team, if that tackle comes off that double team, your defenders at the second level don't stand a chance. So I think that's part of the reason you guys struggle to stop the run as well, even though you got all that speed. Captain Spartan says, Lakers, Dodgers, USC, Rams, Clippers, then Chargers, then UCLA, then LA Galaxy, then the Angels. The Angels didn't even come into the conversation because don't nobody give a shit about the Angels. They all the way out in what is it, Orange County or something? They way out there. Don't nobody give a shit about the Angels. I wanted to put the Clippers in front of the Chargers, but I'm not sure. I mean, this resurgence has helped with Kawhi Leonard and all of that, but for years, the Clippers were one of the worst NBA franchises for decades. And so I don't know if you just change that overnight with a couple of really good seasons. So I don't know. I mean, Lob City did a lot to help change that, but then, they still had to get their racist owner out of there. But Ballmer has come in there and given them new life. I don't know. Maybe the Clippers are ahead of the Chargers. Maybe. I think that's a coin flip. 1/6 Devil Doc, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, what up, Lou? Oxnard is about 2 hours away from LA. Yeah, so they probably got a ton of Cowboys fans in LA too. Yeah, that's not that's as far as big of a state as California is. 2 hours is a rock throw, so that's not really that far at all. Jonathan Hankey says, if the Broncos and Raiders can get their shit together, the AFC West is going to be one of the best divisions. It's already one of the best divisions. Whether those two teams get their ish together or not, it's the NFC West and the AFC West. Those are the two best divisions in football. It's not close. The AFC West is the best in the AFC conference. And the NFC, it's the NFC West. I don't think it's a debate on either end. When the Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs at 2-2 are the worst teams in your division, you really got a hell of a division after 4 weeks. So I think those have already been proven that those are the two best divisions in football. Let's see. You got any more comments? Captain says, how do you think the Raiders will do with Devontae Adams next year? I think it'll happen. Also, what the heck is with Alex Leatherwoods and offsides? Going back to Bama, he had a problem. He did have that problem at Alabama. I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to anticipate the snap. I know he's legally blind. Have you ever seen his glasses before? Yikes. So I don't know. Honestly, I kid. I don't know what his issue is with not being able to hold his water. As far as Devontae Adams going to play with his best friend, Derek Carr, that he has no control over that. The Packers hold all the cards there. If they say, nope, Devontae, you're not going anywhere, they can franchise tag him. If Aaron Rodgers is back, I think Devontae Adams is back, even if it's only for 1 more year. You know, Devontae might go to the management and say, all right, I'll sign a 1-year deal to stay here for 1 more year to play with Aaron. But after that, I'm out. I think Aaron Rodgers is gone after the season anyway. And if that's the case, they may want to move on from Devontae Adams as well and just start fresh with a brand new crop of receivers. But you'd be doing Jordan Love a disservice if he doesn't have a true number one, because none of those other guys are number 1 wide receivers. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. If he gets to free agency, he's going to LA. He's going to LA. Or excuse me, Las Vegas. He's going to Vegas. He's already said, I would love to play with my best friend. So Henry Ruggs is the best receiver that they have. But even I don't think any of us think Henry Ruggs is a number 1. We just think he's a hell of a deep threat right now. Think about Henry Ruggs as a number 2, what that would be. Now, they got to be careful, though, because they still haven't paid Darren Waller his money yet. So that's coming. He's going to be the highest paid tight end whenever that deal comes. So and those tight end deals are starting to get up there, and that price is starting to go up. So we'll see. Captain says, I do think I already know the Raiders' first-round draft pick this year, Jordan Davis, a Georgia defensive tackle. He's a guy that right now is getting first-round love, but if you actually watch the tape, he's a third-rounder. Well, maybe that will be the case. That's what they love to do. They love to draft guys, overdraft guys, and take them a round or 2 before they really should be taken off the board. So you might be on to something. Captain says, honestly, I don't know why the Giants and Raiders don't trade. Raiders get Sterling Shepard and Will Hernandez. Giants get Cleveland Farrell, Solomon Thomas, and maybe Marcus Mariota. I mean, I don't really know if that's going to make a difference for the Giants. Those guys aren't going to New York and getting pressure on the quarterback. Mariota would be a better fit for the Giants offense than I don't even know who their backup quarterback is right now. It was Colt McCoy last year. He's now in Arizona. I know they got a veteran in there though. I just don't remember who. But Whoever that quarterback is probably isn't a better fit than Marcus Mariota for their offense. But anyway, I digress. Let's see. Captain Spartan says, I really don't know what to say about the Chargers, but seriously, how has Tom Telesco constantly, he said, how has Tom Telesco constantly drafted well? Like almost every year he hits it big. He really doesn't move. He really doesn't move all that much. My guy, Craig, I forgot I think he called him Coupon Tom or something like that. Always waited to the end of free agency to get a deal on the dude, and it usually worked out. He usually doesn't trade. He did trade, however, I don't know if it was this year or last year. He traded up in the draft. I think it was last year to get Kenneth Murray. They traded up to get him. So that was this year's draft, right? Murray's a rookie, right? If I'm not mistaken. No, Murray's a second year because he wore 56 in his rookie season. Now he's wearing 9. So last year they traded up. And that's rare for Tom Telesco. Normally, he doesn't move up. He doesn't move back. If he comes into the draft with 7 picks, he usually makes 7 selections, and that's it. But he usually gets great value for his 7 selections. Does a great job of scouting. His department, his scouting department does a really good job. And he trusts the board, and it usually doesn't fail him. Ronaldo Gonzalez says, who had a worse weekend than Urban Meyer? Nobody. You lose on Thursday night, and then the footage comes out of you with someone not named Shelly, which is his wife. Yeah, it looks bad. No, I don't know if anybody had a worse week than Urban Meyer. That's pretty tough. Lose a ball game on Thursday, get shitted on Saturday. I think that's how it happened for him. So apologize to your team on Monday, organization on Monday. Probably had to apologize to his wife on Sunday. So it's a lot going on in that man's life right now. That's for sure. And he's still 0-4. That doesn't help either. Let's see. All right, so I think that's it. Got one here. I'll take a couple more. We'll get out of here. Gregory Lightbody says, I honestly think Washington has the second best O-line in the division besides Dallas. Yeah, when Dallas is healthy, they probably still have the best O-line in the division, but we're not that far behind. I think they're probably a little bit more dominant in the run game than we are. But pass blocking wise, I think we hold our own. We really do. And I think our depth is better than theirs. Michael Guerrero says, good reason Chargers are 3-1. Justin Herbert is something. Almost reminds me of Andrew Luck. Yeah, I think he has a chance to be better than Luck, though. Luck was something. He was something, though. He was like a shooting star. Unfortunate that he didn't have that offensive line that they have now in Indianapolis when he first started. But he's bigger than Luck. He's got a stronger arm than Andrew Luck. I think Luck might be an equal athlete to him. Luck was a lot thicker. You know, Herbert's angular. He's up and down, but he's still like 230. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Herbert is something else, and I didn't see it coming. I was so wrong about him. So wrong about him. So wrong about him. Anyway, that's it. Oh, got a super chat right here. Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Fat American, writes, just need one elite tight end and this offense will be scary. I just want Logan Thomas back. I mean, it'd be nice to have a speed demon at tight end, a guy that can run. But just give me Logan. Like, I miss being able to do what Derek Carr did tonight. He literally just threw it up top shelf to Darren Waller like, hey, Nasir Adderley, get down, man. That's top shelf stuff. You go down there and you reach for the bottom liquor down here at the bottom. This is top shelf stuff. I just want to do that with Logan Thomas. We were able to do that with him before he got injured. I just want him back so we can do that with him again. So anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me. Big win for the Chargers. You know, Raiders had a ton of momentum. They were 3-0, and they brought about 80% of the capacity of SoFi Stadium with them. Took over the building, essentially, and it wasn't enough. The Chargers dominated the first half, took a 21-0 lead into the halftime break, and Raiders made a hard charge, made it interesting, cut it to a 7-point deficit at 21-14. Chargers reassumed, the control of this game after it seemed like it was slipping away, and run away and hide 28-14. It's rare that we get games in today's NFL with no field goals. The Raiders did attempt a field goal that was missed. Their kicker had seemed like he was automatic. You know, Daniel Carlson, he seemed like he didn't miss, but he missed from about 52. And the Chargers elected to do the pooch punt, the fake field goal punt with Vizcaino. So it's rare you get an NFL game today with no field goals. Like, it's rare that you just get touchdowns and extra points. Like, there's not a missed extra point. Somebody didn't go for 2. There's no field goal. Like, it's rare that you just get 14-7 like we got in the Browns and Vikings game. It's rare that you just get 28-14 like we got in this game. Usually it's some kind of off number, 31, 27, 24, 25. You know, we get all these weird, funky numbers because everybody's going for 2 these days or missing extra points. But we got a straight up 28-14, 4 touchdowns versus 2 touchdowns. Either way, Justin Herbert was fantastic, especially in the first half of this game. And so was Austin Eckler. Man, was he good. Jared Cook, don't want to leave him out. He was spectacular as well offensively. For the Chargers defensively, they got after Derek Carr in the first half. Boza with a forced fumble. They got after him when they needed to in the second half. Really made him uncomfortable. And they get the win. Picked by Derwin James. Good to see him healthy, man. Good to see him healthy. A lot of talent on that Chargers defense. And Brandon Staley continues to just be, as my guy Craig says, brass. What does he call him? Brass. I don't want to mess it up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Brass set Brandon. He goes for it on 4th down again tonight a couple of times, and the Chargers reward him on the second of those 2. And that led to the final touchdown of the game to put the game out of reach, 28-14. So both teams leave this game at 3-1. Chargers now are in first place. They are now 2-0 in the AFC West division after going to Arrowhead last week and beating the Chiefs, and coming home this week and beating the Raiders. That division is going to be really fun to watch. 3-1 teams, and I think still the best team in the division is the Chiefs at 2-2. But these Chargers will have something to say about it. They've already beaten the Chiefs once, but of course, we haven't heard the last. I wouldn't be shocked if that second game. When is that? If that second game doesn't get flexed to Sunday Night Football, that'll be the last thing we do, and then we'll get out of here. Let's see when that second Chiefs-Chargers game is. If it's late enough in the season, and it is December. Oh, shit, it's already on Thursday Night Football. There we go. I told you, make this an annual thing. Trust me when I tell you this. The league isn't dumb. They know how good Mahomes is, and they think they know how good Herbert is. They're going to find out this year that he is legit. This will be an annual thing from here on out. So we've already got them on Thursday Night Football late in the season. That'll be a Sunday night thing. That'll grow and advance to Sunday night. That's little boy stuff on Thursday night. They're going to go to big boy football next year, and they'll stay there. So that'll do it for me, your man Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me. Remember, Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, that'll do it for me. God bless, and good night.
Louie.